Okay, so I just saw this review of the toxic vapors and fumes affecting the workers down in the Gulf. Now, those workers were told, according to some reports, that they weren't allowed to wear respirators that they had brought themselves to use while fighting this oil spill. And basically, they were told this, and they wanted to use protection because the off-gassing of the crude oil is dangerous to humans above the water as well as below the water as that off-gas comes out of that crude in the actual ocean. And as a gas, microscopic gas, water will adhere to those gas molecules and absorb it into the water as well. So BP doesn't want to admit that there's gas above the ground that might hurt people. And it brings me to a point that I had a job about 2 years ago. I sort of saw that the economy was taking a dive, and people were starting to get a little bit concerned about how things were going. And what I have to say about it, I went and got a job at a thrift shop. And I said, oh, well, I got, I have a website and that kind of thing. But I'll go to a thrift shop because I'll get a 50% discount on all this stuff. And I'll be able to see it coming ahead of time as well. So I ended up working there for about 9 months to a year. Got injured. It was pretty hard work. And at first I wanted to wear this mask, which is, let me just show you here. It has 2 canisters on the end. And you can actually breathe through these. And they're organic or, toxic vapors or anything like that. There's a variety of types you can get. They're cheap. And basically I wore this while I was sorting a lot of the used clothing that was coming into the thrift shop. And I was told, after being seen by supervisors, I guess, or somebody on security cameras, that basically I wasn't allowed to wear this to protect my breathing. Now, it sort of freaked me out, because this is CSA approved, Canadian approved, NOSH and everything like that. It's perfectly fine for using. And I was told by the company, which actually was Valley Village Savers, to mention it, that a paper dust mask, like you'd use for drywall or something, was the only thing I was allowed to wear while working there. And that I wasn't allowed to wear this because it wasn't approved by them as safe for me. Now, personally, I liked the look of it. It was sort of like, people stayed out of my way when I was working fast and working hard for this company at close to minimum wage, I must say, after taxes. And basically, I was outraged by it. I didn't quit over it, but I went to the dust mask and all that. So, basically, what I wanted to say about this is that if they admit that there's toxic or poisonous fumes or kind of risks in your workplace, and you want to take a large step towards protecting your breathing, if you do that, then that is an admission by them that there is a danger to your health. And if a company admits that there's a danger to your health, then basically they have to pay a lot of money to protect you, like an asbestos removal, or you're going to be able to sue them because the negligence will be on their part by admitting the hazard but not providing proper safety equipment. So folks, that's my take on it. Let's watch the news clip.
Now to our next guest to talk more about these dangers. We're joined in our studio right here by Albert Huang. He's an environmental justice attorney with the Natural Resources Defense Council. He's just returned from the Gulf region. First, let's start with this issue of respirators and the cleanup crew and the fishermen being told if they put on respirators that they themselves even brought, since they're not being provided by BP, they'll lose their jobs in cleaning up.
Well, under the Occupational Safety and Health Administration has a number of regulations in place for worker safety, and they have released with the National Institute for Environmental Health a number of fact sheets saying that workers need to protect themselves. And in these fact sheets they said you need to wear boots, you need to wear gloves, overalls, and life vests so people don't drown. And recently we saw in the LA Times yesterday, and there's been photos all over the internet and Facebook as well, showing workers in street clothes doing cleanup. So that's our first concern. The second concern is that there are also regulations that OSHA has for wearing respirators. It's the respiratory protection standards in OSHA. And it says that if you're in a workplace where there are possible inhaled health risks, then the employer needs to provide a respiratory program, a plan of how you're going to protect your workers, which may include providing respirators. We suspect that BP does not have a plan. And one of the reasons why they're not allowing workers to wear these respirators is because they don't have a plan. And if they were to allow people to wear respirators without a plan, that would reveal they're actually in violation of OSHA standards. So that's one possibility right there. The second one, of course, is that if you don't act like there's a problem, there isn't a problem publicly. And the fact that we saw this after Katrina in New Orleans, where there was an issue with air quality. And many health experts are recommending wearing respirators. And the image of people walking around in respirators, I think, was very daunting for a lot of government regulators, that there was a real problem. So that might be another thing that's going on too. But clearly there are OSHA requirements that say that in a workplace, to protect our workers, if there are inhaled risks, where in this case there surely are, it's been very well studied that oil, petroleum products have lots of constituents, volatile organic compounds, which include benzene, which are strongly linked to leukemia and other cancer-causing diseases, other cancer-causing chemicals. The National Academy of Science released a study saying that 40% of oil, once it hits the air, evaporates. And that's what we're concerned about. When we were down in Roberts, Louisiana, we met with Central Command, and we raised the issue of how much oil is being spilled. We need to know this. And one of their responses was that, well, 40% of it evaporates into the air anyways. Well, that's exactly what we're concerned about, is of that oil evaporating into the air, there's these volatile organic compounds, there's hydrogen sulfide, which smells like rotten eggs and leads to hardness in breathing, irritation of the eyes, and then the benzene itself, which can, like I said, has cancer-causing effects, can lead to burning of the eyes, the nose bleeding, coughing. And these are all of the symptoms that we...
President of Plaquemines Parish. BP hazmat crews working on beaches, but why are there hazmat crews here right now?
They don't have a plan. They told us they did, just like they told us it wasn't going to come in here. Yeah. Usually you pull in here the fish, the minnows, a trout would be running behind a minnow. It action all over. It's dead. Look, there's not a bug, there's not a squirrel, there's not a fly, there's nothing. And there's no one cleaning it up.
Why isn't somebody cleaning this up now?
Well, that's a great question. Again, Billy presented his plan yesterday, and he's basically said he hasn't been able to get a response. He's basically said to BP and the Coast Guard, in 24 hours, if you don't approve my plan, I'm going to implement it anyway.
The plan is to try and suction up some of the oil in these marshes, something Billy Nungesser says he asked BP to do days ago. There's a thick layer of crude oil over this entire part of the wetlands. You can...
I've got another suggestion for BP, actually. I just found this, actually, so... okay, here's what we do. We want to be nice, and we want it to be a comfortable situation for everyone. So, we get this rope here. I got this rope. This is like a ship rope. It's got a little algae on it, so it's pre-treated for ocean use. And what we'll do is we'll wrap this underneath the arms of the BP executive. Tie it really snug. We can attach a cable to the other end of the 20 feet I have here, and then because that won't give him any kind of rash under his arms from the cable. If we use that soft rope, and then we're going to give him an air line. This is from my fish tank, the saltwater fish tank, and of course we got to be nice about it. We got to give him an air line, so we'll run this air line down with the rope. And we'll wrap it around the rope so it's protected from abrasion. And then he can breathe through this, and when he's down there, he can actually count how many fish or creatures are left on the bottom of the ocean as an assessment for us. And or take down the actual suction dredges for the 15 super tankers that are arriving next week with the high-end dredging equipment, and suck that oil while he's breathing through the tube.
suck that oil, direct those tubes towards the oil plume as it moves around with the current, I guess, because it's not one big plume around this leak now. There must be fast current there because it's always just streaming out. It's never accumulating in that area, which is strange, right? Like, that's really, really bizarre. So anyways, that's my suggestion, and I'll supply the gear.